The METUS Tech Show.
Welcome to the METUS Tech Show, a show for HVAC professionals by HVAC professionals.
The METUS Tech Show.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for having us on today. It's great to be here. I love coming to Florida, and I love that I got to stop in my hometown of Chicago, and through O'Hare, that is, of course. But whenever I run through Chicago, I always got to eat something that's Chicago specialty, and this time it was the Chicago hot dog, as my friends would say, dragging it through the garden. So it was fully loaded, relish, onions, hot peppers, celery salt, the secret ingredient, slice of pickle, slice of tomato on a steamed poppy seed bun, and of course Vienna beef manufactured hot dog. Not that I'm specific about this, but that's how it was particularly done right.
So I was surprised my first time going to Chicago. I'm thinking Chicago, what food comes to mind? Pizza.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of. And we can have a Giordano's Lou Malnati's debate later, but then somebody
Giordano's, by the way, I'm just going to put it out there.
I'm going to disagree, but that's okay.
Giordano's.
But somebody mentioned to me, ever have a Chicago-style hot dog? And I said, no, and I love hot dogs. I think hot dogs are the safest food in the world. And everything that they put in a Chicago hot dog are things that I don't really care for. But I tried this hot dog at, I think, 3 different places. I know one of them was Portillo's, which is touristy.
But still good.
Yeah, another one was Sammy's.
Okay.
And I forget what the third one was. The third one was just a one-off shop. It wasn't like a chain. But what's in this again? You got a hot dog, a beef hot dog, apparently.
Yep, all beef, Vienna beef brand specifically, though Portillo's for a while did have their own hot dog, which was a competing thing, very, very controversial, like the Malnati's Giordano debate.
Yeah.
And then you properly loaded up. You start with mustard, of course. There will be no ketchup, or you will
there's no ketchup on a hot dog.
You're getting thrown out.
Yeah.
Right? You ask for ketchup,
Really?
they're going to say, sorry, we don't
I'm
want your
outta here.
business.
Yeah.
You can't stay. Then they follow with some relish, usually sweet relish. Chopped onions, small bout of that. You got to have, of course, a nice slice of dill pickle, some sliced tomatoes, hot peppers, and then, of course, you finish it off with the celery salt, the secret ingredient.
Yes.
So that is a perfectly procured, and it's all resting on a beautifully steamed poppy seed bun.
Oh, yeah, that is good. My mouth is watering. We just had lunch literally 10 minutes ago, and I'm hungry now.
I could eat one right now. Yes, I'm with you.
Taylor, have you ever had a Chicago-style hot dog?
I've never had one. I'm visualizing it. It sounds so good.
It is. It does sound. It's really good. It's actually it tastes a lot better than it sounds, if that can make any sense.
Taylor can't wait for the meeting to be over so he can go throw up.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you both for being here. Welcome everyone to the METUS Tech Show. My name is Paul Chaves. With me, I have Steve Pimentel. Hey, Steve, say hi. Juan Cardona.
Hola.
All right. And our guests today are Mark Abrams and Taylor. I'm sorry, Taylor, I don't have your last name up in front of me. You're joining us remotely. Mark is here with a name tag on, so I cheated. So, Taylor, let's start with you. You can give us your last name, introduce yourself, and who you're with, and why you're on the show.
Sure. My name's Taylor Keep. I am with SPAN. I lead electrification product development at SPAN. And I'm here to talk about kind of the connection of electrical infrastructure, electrical products, and HVAC, and how really in this journey to deploy heat pumps all over this country in every single home, we kind of have a joint destiny, right? We need to have the infrastructure in the home, the electrical systems in those homes, grow up alongside those HVAC systems. And so we think that we have a really important collaboration, HVAC being the largest, most costly investment a homeowner makes. It's an important time when a homeowner makes that choice to think about their infrastructure too.
All right. And Mark?
Yeah, I am SPAN's VP of Sales for the contractor channel. I work with everyone installing SPAN products. I've been with SPAN a couple of years now. It's a super exciting company and technology. It's very new and unique, and it's really a pleasure to be here at the event. Telling everybody about SPAN for the first time because it's new to all of you, and we're glad to have the opportunity.
And for those of you listening, if your truck is a little noisy, it's SPAN, S-P-A-N, not spam. Because we had the Monty Python song playing earlier, for those of you who know that. So, which one of you guys, and Mark and Taylor, I'll leave it up to you. Tell us what exactly is SPAN. A high level view. What is SPAN exactly?
Sure, I'll kick it off and let Taylor get into the super techy details. SPAN's philosophy was we reinvented the 100-year-old electric panel. So if you look at electric panel technology, it's been pretty much the same for a long time. Breakers went from twist to flip switch, but fundamentally there's not been a lot of innovation. And I always tell the story of our founder, Arch, was at Tesla. And he was in charge of the Powerwall batteries, and he looked out on the world and he said there's, super smart batteries and super smart car chargers and solar systems and heavy loads like HVACs in the house, and it's all routing through this dumb electric panel. And what if we made it smart and allowed control of those loads and insight to the power being consumed? And so he went to Alon, he said, hey, I got this idea. And Alon said, cool idea, probably not a Tesla product. So Arch left and founded SPAN, which stands for Smart Panel, or SPAN.
Okay, makes sense now.
And we've expanded a lot of our functionality to allow for the ability to control loads and the ability to avoid expensive and delaying service upgrades. And that's why we're here with you today. We have the ability to turn down or to reduce the power consumption of loads so that it isn't required always to do a big service upgrade for homes where it can be expensive and time delaying, and allow multiple heavy loads to exist together, especially with electrification happening. And maybe, Taylor, you want to talk more about that?
Yeah, so there are 48 million homes, or up to that many, that need upgraded electrical infrastructure. And so, I mentioned before, all of these homes at some point in their electrification journey, whether it's when they get a heat pump or they get their water heater, they get their induction stove, they are going to need an upgrade. They need more copper, their wires, their service out to the pole. Something's going to need care. And so, we're really excited that, by inserting our technology right at the heart of the home, we can not only give homeowners a really great experience, give more insight that can save them money over time, but we can also save them money up front when they go get that appliance they want. And we think that, again, the HVAC contractor has a really privileged position to present that value to the customer.
Right. So I remember, back in the 80s or 90s, going to these homes that were built in the 40s and 50s, and these people would want air conditioning system, and they would have a panel that the panel maybe didn't have capacity, or and some of these homes have a 60 amp service coming in, which I don't think happens anymore. I think right now the standard's 100 at least, maybe even a 200 amp service.
More like 200.
But is that the type of thing that we're talking about? Somebody's maxed out at the panel, and they take out the old panel and put in a SPAN panel or a smart panel?
Yeah, so you got a couple choices, right? You're hemmed in by the NEC load calcs in Article 220, right? And if you want to go get that next device, the code is gonna prevent you from doing that. So you got to decide, am I going to go, upgrade all the service down to including my panel, but then all the things upstream down to it, or can I use technology to get around that, right? And so what SPAN is an alternative. Like say that upgrade out to the pole, you're going to be trenching, you're going to dig up conductors, or that utility you're working with has got this big backlog, or there's some friction in the system and your project's hanging in the balance, right?
Yeah.
SPAN is a way to just insert the technology at the panel, and then we use the software on board to control all of the loads in the home. And what we do is we act as an energy management system, which is a language now that the code understands, and we can set a set point for the panel. And what that does is it protects that conductor upstream still, just like the 60 amp breaker that was there, to make sure that you're safe. But you can land anything you want on that panel, right? You can land all the things you want, and SPAN will route that power intelligently to the devices that you need to use at that moment.
All right. Now, does this run off of an app or software on a computer? How does this work?
Yeah. So SPAN's it looks like a panel, but it's really a sophisticated modern appliance. It's got onboard compute. It's got a Linux machine inside. And then the panel talks to two apps. There's an installer-facing app, which helps the installer, configure the panel, set it up, label all the breakers, do all the things you would do with a standard panel.
Right.
And then there's also a homeowner-facing app, which presents energy use on each breaker, gives them insights and guidance about how they can save money, then also lets them configure features like power up. And in this application in particular, we let the homeowner actually rank all of their circuits, so they can decide, if I'm short power, what's the first thing I want you to do, Span. And as they experience that, they can change it over time. So it's the same thing we do with off-grid, right? If you've got a battery on site, we let you rank sort and organize all your circuits. You say, man, if power goes out, man, I got to have my fridge. I got to have my chest freezer in the garage. I got to have these different things stay on. And we let you personalize that, and then you can change it over time anytime you like.
Genius. That's awesome.
Yeah. So one thing I keep hearing about more is electrical energy storage. Does Span do anything with that?
Oh, you bet. It's one of the great solutions we have. So when you pair us with energy storage, particularly a battery such as a Tesla battery, what we can do is when the power goes out, people are they bought the battery for that moment in time. They want to be ready and they want to have power through whatever the outage is, whether it's a short duration of a few hours or the tree took down the power line and it could be days. Span does two amazing things. Because we see all of the energy usage in the house, we can take the percentage of battery remaining and turn that into days, hours, and minutes. I say it's turning into human. Like, how long is this battery going to last for me? And it's really useful. Then the second thing we do, that's really the game changer, is that we both immediately load shed. So if the power goes out and you're charging your electric car, we would turn that off so you don't drain your whole battery into your car and then your house is shut down. Or you might choose to turn something else off, a pool pump or other heavy loads, dryer. And then you also have the ability to change your mind. So in our app, and our app is super easy to use, very consumer friendly, easy, great looking. The consumer, the homeowner, gets a little alert, said, hey, your power's out, you're running on your battery, you've got so much time left. And they can go in and change their mind about what's running and what isn't to extend the duration of the battery or shorten it if they want to turn on their air conditioner if it's a hot day and they don't think it's going to be a long outage. And they do that with complete visibility of what that impact will be. So by turning the circuit on and off with our software, they can know exactly how much longer or shorter the battery will last. So one of our first markets that I've been working with for a few years was, in fact, battery storage support, and it's very powerful. It also works very nicely if you have a generator. We don't automatically turn the loads on and off, but if you're home, you're running off your generator, you can see exactly what's using how much power, turn things on and off with your phone, and maximize the duration of the capacity of your generator, particularly if you don't have a gas-fed line or if the gas lines are down. This allows you to really maximize what's in your tank.
Okay. So when you integrate this with a generator, how does the Span panel work with the transfer switch and all that?
Great question. We sit behind the transfer switch, so we don't even necessarily know the power went out with the generator, but you do because you're running on your generator.
Yeah.
And so at that point, you then go into the Span app and just turn things on and off to make sure you're not using up too much of your fuel on electricity uses you don't need.
Okay. Now let's say no generator in the home. You have the Span panel and you lose power. At that point, what happens?
We're just like we need power too. So if there's no backup source of power,
you're done.
The home's going dark.
Okay.
In a replacement scenario, anything different that must be there? Well, let's say I'm upgrading my service. I'm going from 100 amp to 200 amp. I know the opening may be larger. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the internal components of the panel, because my panel just contains breakers. The Span panel, I just heard it contains other items. So is it designed to fit in between the two joists? Is it going to require a different size opening? It's going to require what is the requirement in a replacement scenario?
Sure, I can take that one as well. So yeah, it's fit stud to stud, 14 inches wide, standard sizing. What I find from talking to hundreds of contractors the last few years is when you're replacing an older 100 amp panel with some 200 amp panel, it's never like for like. There's always some size difference, bigger, smaller. So we have our standard panel. It's 32 circuits. And so you just look at the job and you're either going to create a little extra room or you're going to have extra space to fill in, whether it's drywall, stucco, surface mount. But everything else looks exactly like a standard electric panel. So the smarts we're talking about are all under the hood. So it's basically a PC board behind the actual panel itself. But in terms of being a panel, it's just like any standard electric panel. Standard off-the-shelf breakers from all the major manufacturers, standard grounding, standard wiring. If you can install a regular electric panel, you can install SPAN. And our entire training course is under an hour of videos on the specifics about SPAN, but everything else is very much like an electrical panel.
Wow.
If you're really into that, we have videos. I have one contractor did a 4-hour end video of an entire SPAN install, of which 3 hours is wiring. But there's a lot of information on it. But yeah, it's very easy to install and very familiar to any electrician.
Okay.
Wow.
Awesome.
So we've been hearing a lot about electrification of the nation lately, and there's other things I want to talk about the IRA also in a little bit here. But how can, and I think the answer is obvious, but I want to hear it anyway. How can SPAN help with electrification efforts, which seems to be the big push now?
Taylor, why don't you take electrification and I'll hit the IRA?
Yeah. So anytime you're going to touch a panel, right? Anytime a panel needs an upgrade, this is a huge opportunity. It's a big moment. And what you do by installing SPAN is you future-proof that home, but you basically set it up for success along the electrification journey, right? You're not going to invest a bunch of money in one technology and then have that homeowner hit a wall the next device they go to install. So basically, that's the number one thing is trying to make an investment that positions that homeowner for success all down that journey. And again, the main thing that we're doing is making it where load can be managed, and then you don't hit that service limit. You're basically a smart load calc. You're basically adjusting what's on the panel dynamically so that it fits the service size. And one thing that we haven't even mentioned yet is we invented a new kind of EV charger. So a lot of times, the number one trigger of a service upgrade is an EV charger. And we have a product that is a dynamic EV charger that adjusts how fast it charges the car based on how much power is available in the service. So it's always measuring how much power is available, gives you exactly as much as you can provide. So that paired with the panel is a really powerful combination. We're doing the same thing actually with Mitsubishi. So this is actually a really cool collaboration we've built where we're using the variable speed capabilities of Mitsubishi to do the exact same thing. So if you are at the margin of your service capacity and you choose to have SPAN manage your heat pump, we can vary the compressor speed dynamically, just like we do that EV charger, just to fill up all of the power that you have to provide and not use anything more. So really exciting collaboration there.
Well, Taylor, I got a question. How is the SPAN panel controlling the condenser or compressor speed or capacity of that system? Are we using demand control inputs and outputs on our unit for that?
Yeah. So for the Mitsubishi unit, we're using a local area network API. So we're talking locally over the Wi-Fi network that the customer has. We're not going out to the cloud or to the internet. We're staying on premise.
Okay.
And what we do is we use local commands direct to the compressor. So in effect, it gives us the keys to the system just like a thermostat would have the keys. And we can actually then directly command the speed 0 to 100.
And this is all I guess managed by the app. So the customer gets to decide, correct me if I'm wrong, but the customer gets to decide, is it more important that I charge my vehicle or is it more important that I keep cool?
Exactly. And usually HVAC is not the number one thing a homeowner wants to manage. It's not the first thing, right? EV charging is like an obvious first one. And then there's sometimes other things that like maybe a homeowner wants to opt in their hot tub or some other luxury appliance they have next. And then sometime HVAC shows up, right? And it's that moment where this feature would really kick in and make a big difference for the homeowner. Keep them, we don't turn off the air conditioner. And it actually, the way this works, and we can talk more about it, the way peak power works in a home, it usually only lasts a few minutes. So we don't have to have a big draconian action where we're turning stuff off or really disrupting a homeowner's life. It just is moderating things for a few minutes, and then generally that the overcurrent situation that you're trying to avoid is over.
Oh wow,
that's awesome.
And I think, Mark, I think you were talking about the IRA, and is there funding in the IRA for the SPAN panel? Is that part of what's included in that legislation?
Yeah, there's really two big parts to it. One's in effect now, and then one is coming. The tax credit aspect is available now. So if you install a SPAN panel as part of an electrification project, there's $600 tax credit at the federal level available today. So that's an immediate discount on the extra cost for the SPAN. And then there's coming the rebates. So there's going to be some really exciting programs around low to moderate income, up to 150% of moderate income. It's going to allow you to get up to half to 2/3, even 3/4 of the cost of the SPAN panel offset.
Wow.
And so, we're talking $3,200 for moderate, $6,500 available for low income. And so when you look at a lot of the incentives that are driving heat pump adoption, and you complement them with incentives that cover electrical panel upgrades, this can really open up the market for all of us and enable a lot of customers who maybe were on the fence with something like a great heat pump or related technology to be able to afford it, electrify their house and their lives, and accomplish some of the goals of these programs. But for all of us here in the industry, what it means is our customers are going to be able to get some really nice discounts. The federal today on the tax credit, and then the rebates are going to roll out state by state. So we'll kind of watch and see, pay attention to your own states. Some are farther along with this than others. We're hoping to start to see these light up on state websites here in the first quarter of next year.
Good, yeah. We're waiting for that as well.
Yeah, I think we're very aligned on that, our companies and the opportunity, yeah.
All right. So I'm a customer. I'm in the market for a heat pump. And I think we talked about some of the, hey, if my panel's not quite sized, right? We talked about that, but are there other ways that a SPAN panel is going to benefit me if I'm in the market for a heat pump?
I think about SPAN panel being sold through the HVAC channel, if you will, two reasons. Number one is the thing we talked about at the beginning, the ability to avoid that service upgrade. It can be faster and cheaper to install a SPAN than work with the utility. And even if it's close, now the customer is getting a SPAN panel instead of just a bigger dumb panel, as we like to call them. And then I think the other thing is that, really for anyone in our industry, SPAN represents an opportunity to grow your business, to offer the customer something new and exciting that's going to really enhance their lives. We like to think about some of the benefits homeowners get. The SPAN becomes an energy dashboard for their home. They see all of their power consumption. They know exactly where they're spending their money every month on their power bill. They can change their behaviors. They can learn about appliances that are failing. There's all kinds of ways they can achieve savings. They get peace of mind. I use the easy analogy. You leave the house and you're like, oh, did I leave the oven on? Well, now you can just look on your app. And if you did, you can just turn it off, whether you're home or on vacation. And so I think, people like to buy SPAN for a lot of different reasons, the insight, the peace of mind, and then the future readiness, whether they, as Taylor mentioned, you might someday get an electric vehicle. When you get that, you don't want to have to go and upgrade your electric panel yet again, but if you bought a SPAN, you're ready for that. Maybe, any other things you might do electrically in your house.
Yeah, because if you don't have enough power to handle a heat pump and an electrical vehicle charger, then you could be talking thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to upgrade this service, especially if it's underground and you got to dig trenches like you mentioned earlier. I think one of you, either you or Taylor, mentioned earlier. So I think there's a huge benefit here I see.
We're really interested in, delivering value to the homeowner, saving them money wherever possible, and giving them some of these other nice things they care about. It is their house. It's their biggest investment. And this now tells them everything that's going on with it electrically in a way that was never possible before.
Yeah. So, Taylor, getting back to you here for my next question. Our show is our target audience is the HVAC contractor in the truck. Right? And he's going to be, talking to homeowners and building owners and end users. So what does the HVAC contractor need to know to help him so he or she can help their customers?
Gosh, I think the first thing to think about is, Mark really laid it out really well, honestly. When you think about the two things we can offer, we can help avoid a service upgrade, or we can help avoid, if you have this opportunity where you got a panel that's full, there's no open breaker spaces. You just want to think. I think the biggest thing is if you're in the truck, you want to think about the opportunity and the journey that homeowner is going to be on, right? all homes in the United States are going to be all electric. It's going to happen. And now with the IRA, basically, we have a public investment in it, right? And it's a great piece of legislation because it appreciates the holistic nature of that, right? Not only do you get a rebate for your HVAC counter, but they're also encouraging you to do the proper air sealing and insulation in your home, right? They're encouraging you to do the electrical upgrades that you need to do all electric. And together, what that is to me, it breeds opportunity for an HVAC installer because HVAC installers think about the whole home more than any other trade. They're trained to do this. They're thinking about the enclosure. They're thinking about the health of the buildings, moisture being managed properly. So you can go in there and kind of look at that and say, what's it going to take for this house to be all electric, to live in the future? And how can I help my customer get down that journey? And I think SPAN is just a linchpin of that narrative. And there's a real opportunity to educate and empower that customer both about the funds that are coming available, how they can leverage all this public investment, and then position them for success in the future, lower cost of electricity. I think that's the number one thing. Being aware of the minimum brand so that you don't miss that opportunity at home.
All right. So, what resources are available to help the contractors secure permits for SPAN and as an energy management system?
Yeah, there's a lot of resources for contractors. I'll start with talking about to get started, and then Taylor can talk a little bit about the HJ style issues. So if you're looking on board with SPAN, simply reach out to your distributor or to your SPAN representative, and we can invite you to what we call our tech portal. There's no cost to do this, and once you're invited, you get basically access to our training. Our training is roughly an hour. Once you complete that, you're effectively ready to go commission. As I mentioned earlier, it's not a super complex product to actually set up and install. And that gives you all the resources you need besides the videos you watch, all of the documentation's on there, all the UL certifications, all the things you might need to submit to an inspector for permits, things like that. And so there's a lot of resource available. In addition, we have sales teams that can help train. We have technical folks that train. We do remote and in person, depending on where you are and time of the year. So there's a lot of ways to help you get up to speed to using SPAN. In addition, for this power-up technology, we've come out with a really cool tool to help you do load calculations and understand what your choices are. And I'll let Taylor talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we've made a tool. We call it the Project Planner, Power Project Planner. And it's exactly that. It basically takes in basic information about the home, takes in information about all the appliances in there, does a conventional NEC load calculation with it, and then it also does math that is based on the data that SPAN's collected from our fleet. And so what we want to do is marry two things, right? One is our estimation of how the house is actually going to behave, and when we start activating power for managing things, that we want to be sure the homeowner has an option. Right? That's fundamental to SPAN, is that it's a great product and people love their house, love their experience. But then we got to set that next to the NEC. Right, and we got to make sure that you've got a story to tell your partner at the jurisdiction so that they understand, what is this thing? What is this SPAN product? And how does this relate to the code? So the project planner does both of those things for you. It gives you a PDF you can print out, and it's basically all of the load forms that you do, like that you usually see from the jurisdiction, and just fill them out for you out of Article 220. And then you can either build your own, forms off of that, or you can use those directly. It also gives you a PDF you can look through homework. Just a simple takeaway. They can basically explain the value of SPAN to the homeowner with this nice handy PDF. They don't have to invent all those stories themselves. So that's a really great tool. The other thing, just to kind of explain, it is true, jurisdictions won't always have a language for what SPAN is, or understand how how it fulfills the requirements of the code. So we have in our tech department, we have a whole lot of resources in there that explain how the SPAN panel does all the things that those jurisdictions do. We carry several UL listings, including UL 916, which is for energy management equipment. And then we tell the narrative about how the code is evolved over time to accommodate energy management systems like SPAN. And so obviously a lot of people, that's not what they dream about or sleep about or talk about with their buddies. So we wanted to make it really quick and easy for you to have that conversation with your.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
I think I'll add one more important point. This is a newer product, certainly in some parts of the country. We've been employed in almost all 50 states, 48 right now. So it's been approved for all kinds of applications, but this is newer. So if you have an inspector that has questions, we always, of course, recommend submitting the documentation. And then we have a lot of support. So if they are unsatisfied or they have further questions because they've never seen this before or never, energy management system is a new idea to them, whatever it is, you can reach back out to our support team. We can often help with the documentation 9 times out of 10 that we can resolve and get them what they need. And then if you have one that's a real stickler and they're having issues, our tech support team can often even get on the phone with you and the inspector and really understand their question and make sure we can answer it to their satisfaction. Everything we're doing is within the NEC code, within the UL code, listings. So it's all above board, but it's not something everybody's familiar with. So don't let yourself get in a spot. We're here to help.
All right. So I have a question specific to my home. I have currently a 200 amp service, which is plenty for what I need. My house is all electric. I have a heat pump, an air-to-air heat pump up in my house, which is 20 years old, 22 years old actually. So I'll be upgrading that soon. I have, electric cooking, electric water heater, electric dryer. How can a span panel benefit me?
I think there's a few things. First of all, it'll give you deep insight into actually what is consuming the power. And depending on where you live around the country, you might even want to change the way things are scheduled to operate. I live in California where we have what's called time of use rates. And we're seeing these pop up all over the United States where I pay more money for that same watt of electricity at 4 o'clock than I did at 3:59 in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
It goes up by about 50% for me where I live. And so knowing where you're spending your money is the number one value because you've got all electrification. You'll have great visibility to what appliances are using what and how much it's costing you. It can even help you make decisions about replacing appliances. You mentioned your 20-year-old or 22-year-old heat pump. You could actually figure out with new power consumption how much it would save. It might encourage you to make that upgrade even sooner because there will be a clear payback from the reduced power consumption of a newer device. So it can help you know that too. There's even ways we can alert or you can see when devices are going to fail. We're working on some AI-based type tools that learn and say, hey, you're consuming a little more power every day than you used to on this appliance. It might be time for a checkup. It's not a guaranteed feature because every appliance is a little different, but we are starting to do things like that. Kind of like a check engine light says you might want to look into this. So even if you've already electrified, even if you already got a 200 amp panel, it can give you really good insight to what's going on in your house, where you're spending your money, why your bill is high, and how your appliances are performing.
Yeah. And just as a sidebar here, for those of you who are listening, you may hear a lot of background noise. We're at a conference. We're at the 2023 Diamond Contractor Conference just north of Miami, and they decided to go on break. And there's a couple hundred contractors here, and you guys have a table set up right next to ours. And we were singing the Monty Python spam song to you guys earlier, but that's where all the noise is coming from. Which I don't think it's copyrighted, so we can't play it. So sorry.
Yeah. I had a question, and I apologize if you mentioned this already, but is the span panel, is there just one model, or is there multiple sizes and models?
Great question. Today we have basically one model, one primary SKU, a few accessories. So it's essentially a 200 amp rated panel, and it comes with a 200 amp main breaker. It's 32 slots. It is 90 amps per slot, so you can feed sub panels off of it. And it is the primary SKU. That is the one we offer. There is a few accessories. There's something we call a trim kit. So if you mount it flush in a wall and you want to make it look nice and clean, it's a little $60 part. You put it right around it. It looks great. People see this panel. It does cost more money, and now it becomes an appliance in their home and a thing of beauty. So anything that's flush mount, the trim kit's a natural accessory. If you want to have 2 span panels, there's something we call a networking kit that allows them to connect and talk to each other.
Oh,
it's
very
basically
cool.
an Ethernet kit that we tested and know how to work with.
Nice.
And then I think the other product we offer that I always get very excited about that Taylor mentioned is our car charger. And there's a lot of great car chargers out there. I think if you're getting a span panel, we have the best charger available. It does only work with our panel, but it gives you that ability to throttle the power based on the available power in the home. It looks great. It's very clean. It's 60 amps, so it's level 2 plus max speed that you're finding out there today. It lights up when you plug it in and unplug it, which sounds like a trivial feature, but if you've ever had a car charger in a dark garage, it's actually quite handy. And so it's a really nice product that we sell quite a few attached to the span panels because people had an older charger and they want a faster one, or they're going to be getting an electric vehicle in the next 6 months, year, and it's cheaper to install it when everybody's out there at once than to have somebody come back and install a new charger. So it's a real nice accessory to go with it.
Now, I had a chance to look at the span panel because, like Paul said, your table's right beside us here. When I took the front cover off and we looked at it looks like a basic panel as far as the breaker slots.
Yes, fully standardized, and I think that's a nice thing. It really is. The architecture is true to every electric panel that's being sold today. Very standard in the breaker sizes. In fact, we're very unique in that we support multiple breakers, certifying to, as I mentioned earlier, the Siemens, Eaton, Murray, Square
Oh, really?
D.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask next.
Yeah.
If the breaker was just a standard breaker, or if it was something that's specific to span.
The breakers are off the shelf. The standard breakers, all the models we're compatible with are listed in that tech portal I mentioned or our installation manual. And so this is a big advantage because with supply chain over the last few years, you can choose different breakers based on what's available or what costs the most cost-effective breaker. And so that gives you a lot of flexibility. But yeah, to an electrician used to installing electric panels, it looks like an electric panel. There's grounding and there's a place for the breakers. And, really what our training is about where you can drill and how to do that, and then about how to commission it and configure it once you've installed everything. And so that part's straightforward. A lot of the exciting, cool things we're talking about are all under the hood. They're all in the software. I think of our panel a lot like an iPhone. When the iPhone first came out, it was a touch screen. And there's a nice bell.
Yeah, it's an ice cream truck apparently going by.
That's Brian with
Yeah, so they play these bells on a xylophone to tell everybody, hey, get back into your meetings.
Yeah.
And it's going to get nice and quiet in here now, figures, right? We're at the end of the episode. But.
So as I was saying, iPhone, not ice cream. So it's like an iPhone because it's a platform. So by giving the ability to turn the circuit on and off in software, by measuring that power consumption, like what the iPhone did for a touch screen, you can do all kinds of really interesting things in software, like reduce the cost of electrifying your home, avoiding the service upgrade, giving the insights, enabling more Mitsubishi products to get deployed more cost effectively. Is the goal is to enable all these things to happen. So yeah, it is a really unique product, but it doesn't look all that different when you open it up.
Hey, Taylor, I got one more question for you. Where do you think this technology is going next? When Tesla came out with their car, whenever it was, I don't even know how long ago it was, that sort of changed everything. And this is, at least for me, this is something, not only have I never heard of it until last week, it's just the technology itself, it's like, wow. So what do you think the next step is?
Mark was just laying it out. If you think of span as a platform, right, we've inserted hardware that has intelligence, right? It's where all the power in the home flows, right? That's a fantastic place to start. You bring connectivity and metering and control all to the center of the home. What can you do with that? You can do a lot of things, right? Number one is you can do really, really great integrations like we're doing with Mitsubishi, right? We can effectively have the home pulse with the power availability in that home, right? You can manage each appliance and tailor how that appliance functions to save you money and to optimize your experience. So I expect, there's going to be a lot more collaborations with companies like yours doing hot water heaters, even home appliances. I think in the future, all electric homes are just going to be like electricity, and then information is going to flow just like electricity. And you're going to be, doing smarter things with everything in your house. The other thing is the grid, right? As we electrify everything, the grid is going to start to experience a lot of different kinds of stress. And so now that you have this intelligent grid to your house, you actually have the ability to create value for the grid, right? And so there's already this happening. You see it in the news sometimes, like Tesla's batteries are being all bundled together and their customers are getting paid every month to do something with their battery. That's going to start happening all over the place. And what we can do is we can actually monetize your air conditioning. We can monetize your water heater. We can, manage appliances in a smart way and use that to, create value for those homeowners and give them a little kickback every month. And I think that's kind of the direction I see this going. So that'll all be part of the electrification story for, the country as a whole. We need that kind of resilience. And this will just pay for homeowners to do that, and hopefully much more.
Well, I think for me personally, even without the tax credits and even without any rebates that I may qualify for for me is just lowering my electric bill, because I think other than my mortgage, I think that's the next highest bill I have. It's just outrageous. In Massachusetts, the electric rates are just through the roof, and I don't even want to tell you how much I pay every month. But when I tell people, like, what? And of course, my kids are always leaving every single light on, everything's running,
So Juan, you just purchased a new home. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So you're going to put a span in there?
I want to.
You should
Yeah.
ask. Yeah,
I
ask
definitely
Now's the
want
time.
for the
to.
Mitsubishi
Now's the time
discount.
to upgrade.
Yeah.
Yes, I've been talking about upgrading to a Mitsubishi heat pump too.
But for me, I am very irresponsible with energy in my house. I have old light bulbs, nothing high efficiency. I got to get with the times here.
You do.
You know something? I went through and got all, not to sidetrack us here, but I went through and got all LED lights, and I didn't notice a difference. So
See, if you had a span panel,
Yeah.
however, you would have been
There
able
you
to
go.
measure it exactly within minutes. You would have
Yeah.
said, "Oh, I was pulling 100 watts. Now I'm pulling."
Let me
30."
tell you something. LED lights on a Christmas tree is a game changer. That'll change your life.
Yeah.
We got to have a deal though. If I buy a span panel, I get a can of spam.
spam,
we can arrange that.
spam,
Yes, we
Paul,
can.
see what you started.
spam. Okay, good. All right, Taylor and Mark, is there anything that we didn't cover that our listeners need to know?
I think I always think about the business. How do we help your business? How do we help you have better relationships with your customers? Like we heard today in the conference, how do you retain that relationship, get referrals, get future business? So I think when you think about span as you're, offering things to your customers, there's the people who need it for the service upgrade reasons we've talked about. But we recommend offering it to a lot of different customers. Any customer, you walk in their house and you know they like technology, any customer that needs electrical panel work already, any customer that might benefit from energy efficiency and understanding and knowing these things. And it's a great way to grow your business and to build your relationship with that customer. No one ever gets mad at you for showing them the span product. And you can do it in 5 or 10 minutes. We've got great support, videos and tools. And the customer either says, wow, that is super cool, I'd love one. Or they say, really cool, I got a flip phone, I'm probably not going to use all that fancy app and everything. It's not for me, and that's okay. But you've now differentiated yourself. If the customer's out getting 2 or 3 bids, now you've done something different to help yourself stand out, to build that relationship with the customer. If you're lucky, they buy a span panel also, and then you sell them some more things. But even if they don't, you have a better chance of closing that sale for you and your business.
Can you imagine if you're quoting somebody a heat pump, a new installation or a retrofit, and somebody says, well, I guess it would be a new install, but if somebody said, here's how much it's going to cost, we need to upgrade your service and do this and that, and the next contractor comes in and says, put a span panel in, you can do away with all that other stuff.
It's game changer, and you will win those bids.
Right. And how do people find out more?
So definitely start with our website, it's span.io. And what you'll find there is for contractors, takes you right to our tech portal, the request access. And again, we'll reach out once you register. My inside sales team will actually reach out to you and make contact and see how we can help. We run webinars. There's a tremendous amount of resources in that tech portal. I run our outside sales team. If you'd like, that my team's always happy to come to your office, do trainings and talk to you about the sales side, the business side. We do it virtually. We do it in person. So we're here to help you get onboarded and get going and improve your business with Span. And what we find is that, after we've made contact a few times, done some trainings on both the installation and then the sales side, most companies are off to the races. And then we're here for future support and resources. And then if you do a lot of business with, one more thing I should really mention, we have a really nice installer program, much like the Diamond certified, contractors that are here today. Span also has a program for small, all the way down to your 5 installs, makes you an authorized installer that you can brand on your website, up to premier partners that can get some extra benefits down the road as well. So we have a lot of ways to help support your business.
I got one more question I just thought of. We've talked a lot about a residential side of it. Is there a commercial application to the span panel?
Not yet. So we do it. We don't support 3-phase yet. So no 208 yet. I have had some customers do resiliency projects where they've even done transformers that take 208 down to regular 240, single phase. But we do have plans on the roadmap to eventually add, a 208 kind of solution, a 480 industrial, sort of a whole different market, different space. Right. Not really what this is architected for. But yeah, I think over the next year or two, you'll hear more about, kind of small commercial applications.
All right. Taylor, you're joining us remotely, so we'll give you the last word. Anything to add?
I would just say, keep going. I'm so excited about this. The community of installers that doing HVAC out in the field. man, leading the charge to educate customers about heat pumps. This is so close to my heart. I'm an HVAC engineer by training. I started my career doing all that as a PE, and I've been out in the field working with contractors, and I just think it's the most important work out there. I'm really I don't know. We're indebted to this group of folks that are out there, doing the good work. Because heat pumps are the core. Like it's the heart of electrification, and that's what I'm all about, what Span's all about. And hopefully we can just help. Hopefully we can be a big boost to what y'all are doing. So keep it going, and I hope you feel great about what you're waking up and doing every day.
Yeah, no. Hey, thank you very much, Taylor. Mark,
This has
thank
been
you
great.
both. Yeah, I
Thank you,
learned
guys.
a lot too.
Absolutely. Looking forward to see what this product will do.
Yeah, and Taylor, on your to-do list is to go to Chicago and have a hot dog. All right, thank you both.
All right, thanks for
Take
joining
care.
us.
Bye, everyone.
Bye,
Thanks for
everybody.
listening.
Adios.
Bye-bye.